So welcome, everybody. We have a quorum. I think we need to introduce ourselves. So Roy.
Hi, I'm Roy Api from Oahu. No one's here with me.
Makala.
Makala Kalmoana. I'm on Kauai and I am all alone.
Ron.
Ron Terry, Big Island, alone in the room.
Gordon.
Gordon Scruton, Oahu, temporarily on Kauai. I got a room full of people and I don't know if my noise canceling headphones are working, so I'll be on mute most of the time.
Okay, yeah, we can hear pretty much everything. Les, introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, hi, Les Segundo staff. I'm alone in this room.
And I'm Robin Kay. I'm chair of this committee and I'm on the island of Lanai, and there's nobody in this room with me right now. Okay, this is great. Good. Glad we're all here. First thing is the minutes. Any comments on the minutes from the last meeting? Corrections, changes?
Yeah, I have a few.
Oh, okay. Go.
Yeah. Well, only actually one correction. I think that on priority 4, you see that, Robin?
Yes.
Second bullet. I thought your meaning there was, could EAC be a convener of key agencies rather than a conveyor? Am I right?
Exactly right.
Okay. And the other one is not a correction, but I just wanted to update you guys that the pig will not be reporting at the December meeting. We're not ready. Maybe January.
Yeah, we don't want to be a conveyor at all. Good eyes, Ron. Good eyes. All those years of reading all those exemption documents have made you a wolf-eyed reader.
I can't read my own stuff though.
With those corrections in mind, can we have a motion to approve the
Move to approve.
Approved? Second. Okay.
Second.
Anybody opposed? All those in favor, just raise your hand, I guess. It's unanimous, so we don't need to do a roll call. Great. Okay, moving right on. Report on the Zoom meeting with Mary Alice. Let me bring up my notes on that. Onauna and I met with her on November 10th and had a very, very good conversation. We wanted to know what was going to happen to her, and because her term officially expired today or yesterday, I guess, December.
Yesterday.
And we wanted to know about ways in which we could continue the cooperative nature of our nascent relationship, and a couple of other updates. So let me give you the highlights. Mary Alice is now going to be the temporary acting director of OPSD until her replacement is appointed. That could be her, it could be someone else. At the time we spoke with her, she did not know. She is, if she's not reappointed, she goes back to her position as a manager of special planning division at OPSD. We asked her who should we continue to contact, and she with them, and she said, well, her until we know differently. And of course, Jen and Les and Tom work under her as well, or for her. So that part was pretty positive. We did talk about 2 other items that she thought we could raise with the legislators, which in a separate conversation we did. Onauna and I met with by Zoom with Rep. Lowen and Senator Gabbard. But the 2 other things that Mary Alice and Onauna and I talked about were the possibility of restoring the executive director position, which, as you will remember, was filled by Scott. When he left, the position was vacant and then it disappeared. And then also some travel funds, because as you, of course, know, we have no budget, and So she suggested we raise both of those as potential line items for Senator Gabbard and Rep. Lowen to consider, and we did. They didn't say absolutely we'll do that, but at least they heard us talk about the need for both of those positions, both of those financial issues. We didn't ask for very much money for travel. Les did some estimates for us, so we made the argument that we needed to have a travel budget because we now have to have in-person meetings again, even though not all of them will be in person. So Mary Alice was very helpful. That's really the highlights of that. She thought our work, she was supportive of Onana and I going to talk directly to the legislators that are the environmental chairs. Is it any questions or comments about that conversation we had, Makala?
Thank you for doing that. And I'm thinking that Mary Alice would actually have to actively apply. I don't know if that's true. I guess there's a question mark at the end of that for the position, and I don't know whether she has or not. We kind of hinted at that the last EAC, and she didn't offer any clues. And if there was an ED, that I'm assuming, and I'm just assuming this would be somebody else, because she likely would like to stay in OPSD. So I'm just wanting to say out loud that if we do get support for an ED, it might be good for this committee to begin some sort of a process to, or some committee smaller than the whole EAC, to consider who we might suggest / recommend, just to be prepared in case that does get funded and not get caught unready. And I think I really appreciate the way Mary Alice works, and how hard she works and how organized she is. And I'm caught, personally, in, I really think OPSD, could use her good work and her good help, but we need her too. So if you didn't get any clues from Rep. Lowen or Senator Gabbard about the idea of an ED, then I guess we just wait. I'm not getting any clues from anyone on a potential recommendation for DLNR chair. And so it may be flowing down from that. So as soon as anybody has any clues on that one, that might be helpful for our process. Thank you, Robin, again, for you and Onana doing that. I appreciate that. And I'm grateful for Zoom so that it was easier for you to do.
Yeah, and we asked Rep. Lowen and Senator Gabbard if they'd heard any rumors about DLNR that they could share with us, and they both said no, they hadn't heard anything.
No, and I asked Sylvia Luke too.
So any other comments or questions about our conversation with Mary Alice? Yeah, to your point, Makala, I didn't get the sense that she had applied for the position, but I did not ask her that directly. She seemed very comfortable with going quote back to being manager of special planning. That's her background, and we got both Onana and I think I can speak for our chair, got very positive feelings about the working relationship we, all of you and us, and Les and Tom and Jen have established with OPSD. So it was a very positive conversation. And one other thing, it was really helpful, I think, to point out to Senator Gabbard and Rep. Lowen that what they did has worked very well. Because we didn't ask them to do that. That was something they added to our conversations that turned out to be, we think, a very good thing. So
yeah, I'm glad you took that opportunity. I think sometimes, our civil servants and our legislators don't get that kind of feedback. Oh, by the way, that was a good idea, and thanks for your support. And it's working. They hear from us when we're grumbling, but maybe not necessarily when it's really working. So thank you for remembering to do that.
And one of the conversations, one component of that was in terms of the executive director, they didn't know an answer to this. It was actually something they raised. Would he or she be an appointed position? And or not? And we didn't know. They didn't know. So I think we need some more conversation around that. Anything else on the Mary Alice conversation? Ron, you're awfully quiet. Nothing to say down there?
Well, I thought, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I thought that she gave us a goodbye letter and she was done with it.
I don't know.
Didn't she send an email saying it's been great? And I'm moving on?
I don't remember it.
I don't remember getting that. Maybe it was a personal letter to you, Ron.
Let me see.
I think
It was
she was
side relationship.
waiting till yesterday to, be officially out.
Mhm.
Although she's still, as I said, she's now the acting director until there's somebody appointed, but
And
Right.
I do think it flows from the chair, from the DLNR chair. I think it flows from there. I could be wrong, but I think all these heads under DLNR flow from the chair.
Well, she's not, it's not,
she's not DLNR,
DLNR,
Michael,
she's
she's
DBED.
DBED.
Okay, then never mind what I just said.
Yeah.
That's
I was
all
gonna-
right.
I was going to correct that a little bit earlier, but I'm very
Yeah.
reticent
Well,
to
you
correct you.
just let me dig my own hole. It's okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Well, you know who else I'm anxious about is Scott Glenn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He's really, he's just a superstar. And, I know that Josh Green likes him and wants him somewhere in his administration, but I don't know if he's going to keep him as energy director. So I'm waiting to see.
yeah, me
well,
too.
the side conversation is that if any person in that staff is likely to develop jobs, they probably have a smoother path.
Hmm.
All right. The only other thing I had on the agenda, other than anything else you all want to bring up, was my mistake. I have that number 4 on the agenda, and that really was for the legislative committee. Mahina was going to check on whether
Yeah.
we've been talking about social justice and cultural assessments, and was there going to be any effort towards legislation on either of those issues? And Mahina was going to talk with some of her colleagues to get a sense for that and report back to the legislative committee. Unfortunately, she had a conflict, and so she had to not make the legislative committee meeting this morning, and so we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't have that meeting. So this number 4 is in the wrong, my fault completely, is in the wrong meeting. It should have been in the legislative committee. So what I'm hoping is that Mahina can talk about this at the full EAC meeting later on. We in our conversation with Rep. Lowen and Senator Gabbard, they didn't get a sense that these were going to be critical issues in terms of changing any of our rules or 343 or anything like that. We did talk with them about, well, actually, I'll save that for the full meeting. Trying to be legitimate on the agenda. Any other issues from this planning committee? The only other one was, and Ron referenced that the PIG report will now be in January. So we may add that to our strategic planning committee next meeting, but there's nothing for us on that today. So anybody else, any comments?
Yeah, and sorry, it may be February too.
Okay.
Because of the holidays. I don't know if I can convene a PIG meeting or two. I'll just tell you that we kind of went back to the drawing board, and I prepared a report, but the chair felt that I had overstepped the authorization of the PIG committee. And so she asked me to go back and look at the minutes and see what it had asked us to do. And I did, and I summarized them for her. Because we don't have minutes, you have to go back to the recording and listen, right? And I summarized them, and I'm waiting for her to see if she still believes that what I wrote is kind of outside the scope. And if so, you know, we'll adjust the report so that it reflects what we were asked to do and some kind of consensus, but we're not coming to a consensus right now. So it could be could be a little while. Good productive dialogue.
Well, thanks for that clarification. Rachel Sprague has just joined us. Hi, Rachel. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. This is Rachel Sprague from Lenae, and I'm alone over here.
Thank you. Yeah, Ron, I understand that. I did not know all that background, so thank you for letting us know. And it obviously just relates to what the Strategic Planning Committee is doing. We had, again, this is kind of the legislative committee, but just FYI, one of the things we raised was the fact that we were discussing the exemptions process. And both legislators were suggesting that what we do with guidance rather than any kind of change to 343.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
And, yeah.
Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, well, they're reticent to reopen or to open 343. It opened for us because of the way they changed us, but luckily they felt nobody else raised any other issues. And now with so much money in the legislature, there's just this, you know, who knows? So, and again, I'll save most of this for my report on the legislative stuff, but it was interesting, Ron. So, okay, I'm sorry to be babbling here. I'm so delighted to be warm again. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, well, thank you all. We are gonna get together again at 1:30 for the full, Les, is that right? The full meeting's at 1:30?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 1:30.
All right, so you all have some time for lunch. Enjoy it.
Yay.
I guess,
I have a 12:30 meeting too.
oh, okay, sorry. I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for
All right,
participating.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you
Okay,
soon.
thank you, everybody. Okay,
Bye.
okay, bye.